You scroll through your feed, see someone's incredible painting, and suddenly your own work feels small. Or you're starting something new in your sketchbook and then you freeze because you think, what's the point if it won't be as good? Today I'm back with my How to Make More Art series, and we're talking about comparison and fear of failure, how they work together to block our creativity. If you're new here, hello, my name is Katie, I'm a full-time sketchbook artist, and I talk very openly about creativity, the joys and the struggles here on the internet. So whilst I touched on these themes in my last few episodes, I do want to expand on this a bit more. When we talked about overcoming perfectionism and guilt, the core of it was the pressure and judgment we put on ourselves. We hold ourselves as artists to a much higher standard than anybody else, and these standards are often impossible to reach. We see others working through their battles and encouraging their practice and experiments, and I do that too. Whereas we expect ourselves to create perfect art every time, a brilliant piece of art that precisely matches the vision in our head. In today's video though, I want to focus on how external sources can have an impact on our art. Like I said, I have briefly touched on this and the huge impact that social media has on modern day artists, but how much of this external source of validation and comparison is affecting our own voice, our style and our art? We think that other people are better, so why bother? Or that will never catch up to the level that we perceive them to be, and so we give up trying at all. I want to share some ideas and talk about reclaiming our own unique artistic voice in this episode of my series and finding confidence in who we are as artists. I'm focusing today on what comes from the outside versus what comes from within. Of course, there is a very fine line there. Our comparison, our self-demand, guilt and fear of judgment is all intrinsically linked together. I can feel really annoyed that my art didn't turn out like I hoped, and then not ever want to share it because I feel fear of judgment when I post it online. And it's very easy to scroll through Instagram and feel envy. You feel a pang of not being enough, a jealous irritation that you didn't think of the idea first. It's all about how we are seeing others and measuring ourselves up to them, rather than seeing who we are. External comparison turns into internal fear. Again, it's what's the point of trying if they're already amazing? Why bother trying to get an exhibition or create another children's book when there are already so many out in the world? And I felt this really strongly when I was writing my own book, Sketchbook Joy. It was the strongest feeling that I've ever felt of imposter syndrome, and it was paralysing to me. Knowing my work was going to be in print, on shelves, and a physical thing that would never change, that people would have on their shelves for years to come, meant that I wanted everything to be perfect. I redid artwork countless times, I constantly compared myself to other books on my shelves, and I was in a really difficult mental place because of it. I started projects and then gave up halfway because I thought they weren't good enough and they weren't worth it. I realised that I wasn't just comparing, but I was assuming failure before I'd even started. The truth was, I cared so much about this book. I feel so incredibly passionate about creativity. It's why I make YouTube videos about it and have my Patreon. And creating without perfectionism and finding joy in so many mediums that it was making it impossible for me to do so. I was being a hypocrite. But it helped me to see that I wasn't comparing as proof that I wasn't good enough, but proof that I cared. It showed me what inspired me, and that became my driver instead. I had to do a real mindset shift. I could see how my art could inspire and help people because I've never written a book before. Nobody has my style or my creative voice or my author voice, and people can copy my work and style, but because it's constantly changing, it doesn't actually matter. The passion and joy that I feel when creating became the drive I needed to write and finish the book and paint all of the art. I tapped into the excitement and joy of sharing with the world and realising what it is that makes it worth it. What is the point in trying? Well, of course, we all know the answer to that, and of course it's the most cliche thing in the world, but truly we are all unique and we need to focus on that individuality. If I were to ask you what style is, what would you say? I'd love to hear your answer in the comments. For me, our art style is a unique combination of millions of different art styles that we've seen before and that we've liked. It's all the little things that have piqued our interest and tried ourselves, merged together to become something unique and our own. We add our own spin to things, we learn what colours we love, and everything that we've learned, from master studies to personal experiments, feeds into our own style. It's a constantly evolving thing. It changes when we pick up a new art supply and try some new paints, and we realise we can create new textures. It's pushing out of our comfort zones and realising we actually love this new subject that we've never tried before. It's not just about art. It's about the things that make us us. It's the memories and experiences of growing up, the little nuggets of wisdom from our parents, lessons from a class in school or a sport that we really love, that all interweaves itself to our very own unique brains. And I would say it's like our fingerprints, impossibly unique, but it's really not like that at all because fingerprints don't change and art style does. We'll discover a new artist and that will adjust a teeny tiny part of our style, and so on it evolves. It may seem like I went on a big tangent there, and I often do talk too much, but I really think that comparison and fear of failure needs to be tackled by that understanding, that we are unique and our art style is changeable. If you don't like your art, then okay, that's a place to start and then we can change it. You have to work out what it is that you don't like. Is it the colours, the textures? Studying our own work, particularly our likes and dislikes, means we know what to work on and change. It's often easier to work out what we dislike, which is still helpful to know, but I also really urge you to find things that you do like in your work. We have to create to work out these things, and I have done a video all about making time for art, which is a whole other thing, and of course I'll link the playlist above and in the description too, so I won't talk about that today. But we can compare all we want on social media, but what we really need to do is turn that comparison into courage. It was easy for me to think that I should wait till I was better when writing the book. I felt like I needed more practice and that there are other artists who focus on these specific mediums that could do a better job. But art isn't about that. There is room for your version, whether that's something big like a book or a course, or if it's just a spread in a sketchbook. There is room for it, even if the theme's been painted 1,000 times. It's like what they say, that there's never a unique idea. It's never been done like you have done it, because you haven't done it yet. Even in a master study where you're doing a copy of someone's work, your strokes are different. It's impossible to do a perfect match. It won't have the same feelings that the artist originally put into it. And I'm definitely starting to cross over a lot here to the themes I've covered in this series already, but it is also closely linked. I feel like it's a web where every strand is connected to another. And I see art very holistically, and I think even something bothering us that we feel is totally opposite to our art practice still will affect it. As humans, we can't really section things off, and I don't think that we should, when art, at the end of the day, is all about self-expression. So before I start just repeating the themes from the other videos in this series, I will round off with a few ideas for overcoming this fear of failure, which is linked with our external comparisons. We can use our comparison as a compass and dig deep about what it's saying to us about ourselves. Like I said earlier, what do I like about this piece of art I'm looking at? And try it out and see if you can adapt it to your own style. Taking time off socials also works well, and muting those triggers to get back to your own voice is very powerful. You can either step back entirely and see how you feel, or you can mute specific accounts that make you feel a bit rubbish. Creating a private practice is also really powerful, and that is for your eyes only. Some artists call them ugly sketchbooks, or they have piles of paper in their art space which don't see the light of day. You don't have to share everything, and you should make art that nobody else sees, that feels very safe to create. This is where growth happens. Things like warming up and creating quick sketches and thumbnails also help to scare off that perfectionism and fear, but I have spoken about that theme in a past video. So I think this will probably be the last video in this series, because I feel like I am overlapping quite a lot here. But if you do have any thoughts or ideas for me, then I would love to hear them. I just think that our mental state and how we use social media and our ideals for creating art is such a huge topic, and one that can often stop us from creating. And that makes me sad, because I know there is so much beauty in art inside of everyone that would really help people feel better if they got it out. And not just to connect to others, but to make ourselves feel better, to feel free, to find that joy in our process and letting go of those expectations we have, or that society has given us, that we've decided things should be. So I hope this has given you some ideas to think about, and hopefully some inspiration too. I can't wait to chat to you about this in the comments, and I hope that you've enjoyed watching my process here as I've been talking. These have been some originals that I've painted for my patrons, using quite a lot of mixed media, but mostly the Kuretake Gansai Tambi and Watercolour. If you have any questions about my materials, I will try and link everything I use down below, but I'm happy to answer any questions in the comments too. A huge thank you to my patrons. Without them, I wouldn't be able to create these free videos here on YouTube every week, and a big thank you for watching. I will see you next Sunday in my new YouTube video. See you later.